Welcome to the Champions Adjust Sports Talk Show. My name is Aaron Machbitz, and this is episode 16 of the Champions Adjust Sports Talk Show. Yes, you guessed it. This show is sponsored by Champions Adjust, which is a sports performance brand focused on our mindset program, the Champions Adjust Mindset Program. We also do a podcast every single day. We do this sports show once a week, and we have really cool apparel and merchandise. So you can head over to champsadjust.com for all of your mindset apparel and podcasting needs. So let's jump into what's happening this week in sports. So first and most importantly, good luck to my South Dakota State University Jackrabbits as the women's basketball team enters the NCAA tournament. Women's basketball at South Dakota State University is excellent. They are probably the best sport and team in terms of consistency, in terms of winning at South Dakota State University. So good luck to the women's basketball team in the NCAA tournament. They are the 10 seed and will play Oklahoma State in the first round. And there's just no doubt they'll beat Oklahoma State. They'll probably win the whole thing. But I mean, again, the South Dakota State women's basketball team is incredible. They're extremely consistent, extremely well coached, and they go up against a really good opponent in Oklahoma State in the first round. No doubt they will win. They're going to go win the whole thing. It's going to be awesome. So let's fucking go, Jacks. And then also, the National Women's Soccer League was back in action on Friday, March 14th. And it wasn't long before they set yet another unprecedented record. I mean, this is incredible. On Saturday, March 15th, McKenna Whitman became the youngest player in league's history to play in a regular season game at age 14 years and 8 months old. 14 years old, almost 15 years old. She played in this professional soccer league. She entered the field as a substitute in the final minutes of Gotham's 1-1 draw against the Seattle Reign to make her first NWSL appearance for the club. I mean, absolutely incredible. I couldn't even walk and chew gum when I was 14 years old, let alone play in a professional league with grown adults. The teenager's debut had been expected this season, with her potential evident in a major name, image, and rights deal that she signed with a leading sports brand at just 13. I mean, incredible stuff. Celebrate that. Amazing. Good job to her. Hopefully her career flourishes and blossoms and we see some incredible stuff from her. But just, making that unprecedented debut at 14 years old, almost 15 years old, is incredible. That deserves flowers and recognition. But also, again, good luck to my South Dakota State women's Jackrabbits as they go and try to win that whole thing in this March Madness. Now let's go to the NFL. The NFL, we know that Russell Wilson at this point appears to be at the mercy of the man, the myth, the legend, Aaron Rodgers, as he continues to wait for a team to sign him in free agency. Wilson says he is ready to sign, except the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Giants are waiting for Rodgers to make a decision before they do anything else at quarterback right now. And so the Cleveland Browns are also another team searching for a quarterback that Wilson has visited. We heard from ESPN's Dan Grazzino. He reported that the Steelers and Giants are, quote, begging Rodgers to sign with them. I don't know if that's still the case, but when he reported it, it seemed that way. What seemed like a potential wild card in the Rodgers sweepstakes has emerged in the form of the Minnesota Vikings, but their interest in Rodgers signing now is very clear. So they're not really a wild card. They're really one of the contenders to sign Rodgers, as it's, between the Steelers, the Giants, and the Vikings. The Vikings were described as being loosely involved in the Rodgers market, but the Steelers and Giants both have standing offers. I think Rodgers has expressed exactly what sort of deal he's looking for, maybe similar to the deal that Sam Darnold got. And he has standing offers. They're standing offers out for the 4-time NFL MVP in Aaron Rodgers. But the newest information has the Vikings actually going harder now for Rodgers, and sort of everyone just waiting to see potentially what might happen. There are some thoughts that the Steelers are favored to sign Rodgers, though the Athletic's Diana Rossini noted no one team believes right now that Rodgers camp or his people has said he's going to Pittsburgh for sure. So we don't really know. It's up in the air. Russell Wilson's waiting for that to happen. A lot of teams obviously need quarterbacks. That's a premium position. So it's really between the Steelers, the Vikings, the Giants, or potentially retirement for Rodgers. He's one of the best to ever do it, regardless if you like him or not as a person. He is one of the best to ever do it, regardless if you like his antics, the way he carries himself, whatever. It doesn't actually matter because he's one of the best to ever do it. I like Aaron Rodgers. I'm a big fan of Aaron Rodgers, so you won't hear any Aaron Rodgers slander on this show. And I believe, truly believe, just based on what I saw at the end of last year with the Jets, that I believe Rodgers has at least one more great season left in him, maybe a playoff run, maybe an MVP-like season. He already has 4 MVPs and 1 Super Bowl. He's one of the best to ever do it. So maybe we'll see him with the Steelers, the Vikings, or the Giants. Obviously you need pieces around him. You need an offensive line. You need some weapons that he can throw to. Of course, not one quarterback can just do it by themselves. But Rodgers, I believe, he has 1, maybe 2 great seasons left in him, and will be awesome for him to end his career on a high note so people can talk about him and give him his flowers like he deserves as one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it. And so also then we have the Bengals. The Bengals have come to terms with both of their star wideouts to a massive long-term contract extensions. Chase has signed to a 4-year deal that is $161 million. That includes 112 guaranteed. Higgins has agreed to a 4-year, $115 million deal with the first 2 years guaranteed. So obviously the Bengals, are going all in on their offense. They probably should have went a little more in on their defense just based on some of their weaknesses we saw last year. But Burrow and company with Chase and Higgins now signing, like they're going to have a high-powered offense. Hopefully they start off a little stronger than they did last season and they can get into playoffs, potentially making another Super Bowl run, because I'm a big fan of Joe Burrow and that team and really think he can win a Super Bowl. He can win multiple Super Bowls, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We saw him have one of the best offensive numbers, stats type years as a quarterback in a long time. So now he's locked in his 2 hottest targets. Maybe they shore up some defense, and you could see potentially where the Bengals might be able to go in the playoffs next year. And then also the Buffalo Bills and fans have been ecstatic about Josh Allen's record-breaking contract. But what does it mean actually for the Bills' future financially, right? We saw Allen agreed to a 6-year, $330 million contract to stay with the Bills through the 2030 season. As part of the deal, Allen received an NFL record $250 million guaranteed. I forgot to mention that Chase's contract now makes him the highest paid non-QB in NFL history, speaking about records, and Higgins is the highest paid number 2 wide receiver in history. So those are important metrics as contracts keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, as we also see in Major League Baseball with Ohtani and Soto and all these sorts of things. So now Allen received the NFL record $250 million guaranteed. Allen is getting $147 million of the $330 million total guaranteed at signing. That is broken down by the following. He gets $56 million signing bonus, $2.2 million in 2025 salary, $54 million in 2026 salary plus bonus, and $34 million in his 2027 salary. And so the $147 million he is getting this year is roughly 44% of the $250 million guaranteed money, ranking him 10th among quarterbacks. Here is how he received the rest of his $250 million guaranteed money through 2029. They'll get $18 million of 2027 salary locked in by March 2026. He'll get $53 million of the 2028 salary locked in by March 2027, $14 million of the 2029 salary locked in by March 2028, and $17.5 million of fully guaranteed in March 2029. Those are absurd numbers. Like, guaranteed money as a football player is insane. It's so good for the players, but I don't know if it's good for the league. It's so interesting to see all this guaranteed, because football, like anything can happen. Your career can end in an instant. It's unlike any other sport potentially, but all of this money is guaranteed for Allen. Of course, he's one of the best players in the league, one of the best players we've seen, and hopefully he can lead his Bills to a Super Bowl win at some point, but he's got to get the big one. He's got to win that big game. And I don't know if this money will do anything for him. He's already been playing great. He plays hard and things of that nature. But Allen will receive more money in the next 4 years than any other quarterback in history. He will make $220 million, which is $1 more than what Dak Prescott will make in his first 4 years of his deal, which was also record breaking. The numbers look massive, obviously, and can be sort of scary for a fan at first, because I don't know who else they can sign. Is the cap done? Do they have any more money? What are we going to do? But overall, the idea is that the Bills are in good shape salary cap wise through 2028. 2029 will be the year where the hope is that Allen will help the Bills out with a new extension, or the team could move on from him in 2029. Fans hope he will stay if things go well over the next 4 years. So they're hoping at least one Super Bowl win potentially over the next 4 years. And then also with how it's broken down, like I explained through the 2028 season, they can add all the other pieces that they need to have a well-rounded team to be able to go against all of these teams, the Chiefs, the Ravens, or whoever they may go up in the Super Bowl potentially if they make it that far. Because I really hope Josh Allen and company can win the big one. They can get past that thing that they feel in the playoffs that they just they just haven't yet been able to produce that game-winning feel, that culture around we can win this game, this belief that we can win this game. And that's a lot of what it takes when you get into those big moments and those pressure-filled moments. You think of, Patrick Mahomes and Derek Jeter and Tom Brady, usually being able to play their best in those big moments. Why? Because there's a belief around the team that they can and they will. And the Bills need to do that, need to have that, but they also need to have some credible evidence that that's the truth by also getting that first one, scratching that itch, getting the monkey off the back for that first big win. And so there are 5 teams I believe that did really well in 2025 free agency, one being the Washington Commanders. Chicago Bears did great. New England Patriots did great. Minnesota Vikings did great. And the Las Vegas Raiders did great. I think they could really be a good team going into this next NFL season. But the Eagles do remain the team to beat, as are the Super Bowl champs, and will be the defending Super Bowl champs heading into next season. But a lot of teams have gotten better, and this NFL free agency this time has been wild. Still waiting for Aaron Rodgers to land somewhere, maybe Jameis Winston to land somewhere, maybe Russell Wilson to land somewhere, which could shake up things as well. And then the draft also shakes things up with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and all of those things that could potentially happen where rookies could make big impacts, similar to like a Jaden Daniels this year with the Commanders, and how will the teams mesh with some of these new coaches that have been hired and all this stuff. So it looks like an exciting NFL season coming up soon, but we got baseball season to talk about. We're still in the midst of basketball season. So of course, we have to keep talking about Luka Dončić. I've only talked about him in like 4 or 5 episodes. Might as well just keep talking about it because I live here in Dallas, and it's just it's a massive story, and people are going to be talking about it for the end of time because of what happened, the shock, the grief, everything that's happened in Dallas, the team crumbling, Kyrie getting hurt, everything just happening all at once. So if you believe the leaks coming out from the Mavericks, there were plenty of reasons why they wanted to trade Luka. His weight, allegedly nearly 270 pounds, defensive effort, and affinity for beer and hookah have all been points of criticism since the trade happened, sort of trying to rationalize why they traded one of the best players we've ever seen in the NBA. Owner Patrick Dumont went so far as to question Doncic's work ethic after the trade in his first public comments, comparing him negatively to players like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, and Shaquille O'Neal. They worked really hard every day with a singular focus to win, Dumont told the Dallas Morning News, and if you don't have that, you shouldn't be part of the Dallas Mavericks. Again, trying to rationalize this trade, especially to the fans, since all of the fans are upset, and the Dallas Mavericks also raised their season ticket prices by 8.5%, which is an insane idea considering you gave away the absolute favorite player that we've ever had since Dirk Nowitzki. And Dumont and lead executive Nico Harrison have painted a negative portrait of Dončić. Ask his former teammates, and they will tell you something totally different. Seth Curry played with Dončić during 2 separate stints with the Mavericks, overlapping with the star's 2nd and 6th season in the league. He spoke with Sporting News about what he saw from the 5-time All-Star. From my vantage point, you know what you're going to get from Luka. Practice, games, when the ball went up, you knew he was going to show up and be ready to play when he was healthy. I didn't see any issues, really. Curry has seen it all during his 11 years in the league. He's been on 9 different teams, played with 181 teammates, and shared a locker room stars ranging from Joel Embiid to Damian Lillard. He saw something special in Dončić. Obviously, he's a great competitor. When practice came around and the ball went up and guys were ready to compete, he played as hard as anybody. One of the best competitors I've ever played with. You cannot not be a competitor if you're going to be one of the best. You can see him on the floor. Yes, sometimes he complains and he gets a little bitchy and it's kind of annoying, but he does play hard when he's on the floor and when he's healthy. Josh Green was drafted by the Mavericks and was part of their finals run, spending his first 4 seasons with Dončić before being traded this offseason. He thought the conditioning criticism was overblown as well. At the end of the day, he played He played World Cups. He played Olympics back-to-back years. You have to be in pretty good shape to be able to play that and to be able to do that. That's what Green told Sporting News as well. Green felt like Dončić had grown considerably over his time in Dallas. I think for someone to be 24 years old and to be able to take a team to the finals, it's impressive. It's obviously impressive. The last 2 years, he took a big leap being a leader. The guys really followed that. That's people who are playing with him are sharing these stories, and the owners and the GM are painting a different picture. So what's actually true? It's probably the players that played with him, the players that were in the trenches with him, the players that were feeling his vibes all of the time. Quentin Grimes started the season with Dončić on the Mavericks. Grimes was traded to the Sixers a few days after Dončić moved to the Lakers. He also disputed the leaks about Dončić. It's just a narrative around him. Once a narrative gets thrown out there, everybody just runs with it and paints that picture of the person. That's what Grimes was saying. Whatever they're saying, if he's 270 pounds, if he gets to the finals, let him be 270 then. It's crazy. Former Mavericks executive Haralbus Vulgaris officially, that's a very hard name to say. I'm sorry if I messed that up, but he worked with the Mavericks from 2018 to 2021. He saw Dončić develop up and close and told the Dumb Zone podcast that questioning his work ethic was kind of ridiculous. The idea that he's not a hard worker, I mean, what do you think? This guy rolls out of bed and becomes one of the greatest offensive players aside from, Nikola Jokic, like that, like I just don't understand. Like that's offensive. He wasn't born with this ability. He was born with some ability, but he did still have to work hard, compete, get in the trenches, and do the things that all NBA players need to do to be great, or that all great players need to do to be great. He works very hard. He works on his craft. He developed a mid-range game. He developed all kinds of step backs that was not great when he came into the league. He developed the ability to play off the ball with Kyrie, whereas before he always dominated with the ball. And so when asked about his introductory Lakers press conference, what his thoughts were on the leaks, Luka responded, I would say I always take the high road. So he lets his teammates and his game do the talking for him. I think the Lakers now have gone 13-4 since the trade, while the Mavericks have gone 7-10. That's all proof that Los Angeles needs. Luka's a great player. He just is. Yes, again, sometimes in the finals or when he was playing with the Mavericks, he complained with the refs a lot. All of that stuff was kind of bitchy. He complained all the way back and down the floor, and kind of it was annoying. Like, go out there and just play the game. Just play the game as hard as you possibly can. But there's no denying the fact that he's one of the best offensive players in the league, and he's one of the best players in the league. And Mavericks fans are still very, very salty about the trade. And the GM and the owner just want to paint a picture that they had no other option. They had to trade him. There was no other option. They had to trade him. And that's just not true. And so you can hear it from personal accounts from players that were in the trenches with him, doing the work every single day, know more about his identity, about his personality, about who he is as a person and who he is as a player. And you trust those guys more than the sort of the puppets at the top who think they have this power and control, which they do because they have the money. And so I love Luka. I hope he wins a championship with the Los Angeles Lakers, not because I like the Lakers, not because I care about them winning, but I think it would be awesome for Luka to have a championship, put a stamp on how good he is as a player. But there's a lot of good teams in the NBA right now. The Cavs are playing great. The Oklahoma City Thunder are great. The Warriors are getting better. Obviously, the Nuggets are great. The Celtics are great. So it could be a very exciting NBA playoffs, especially then when the NBA players get into the playoffs, they finally start playing hard, which is exciting because they don't really do that in the regular season. They kind of go lackadaisical. So it'll be cool to see that and how it shakes out. And maybe Luka will win a championship, and all Mavs fans, guaranteed all Mavs fans, will be excited for Luka for winning that championship and still very upset and salty that he wasn't with the Mavericks. But it is what it is. So let's move on to Major League Baseball, or baseball, the best sport in the world, baby. Let's go. But that we have another example of a rare baseball phenomenon to keep an eye on in the coming years, the switch pitcher, right? We've seen switch hitters. Switch hitters are actually really rare because it's really hard to hit from one side of the plate. So you move to the other side of the plate, it just makes it that much harder. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in professional sports. And so then you have another layer to that. You have a switch pitcher. Throwing a baseball is really hard. Throwing a baseball hard at 90 miles an hour, over 90 miles an hour, accurately, on time, staying healthy is really hard. To do it with both arms is absolutely incredible. So yes, the Seattle Mariners prospect, I'm gonna botch his name. I'm sorry. Urangelo Cincinnati is the latest in the vanishingly rare class of pitchers capable of throwing at the professional level with both their left and right arms. The 21-year-old saw his first bit of action with the Mariners during their Friday night spring breakout game against a roster of Cleveland Guardians prospects. I believe he was throwing 92 from the left side, then hitting 95 with his right arm. Absolutely incredible. Hopefully, God willing, he can stay healthy and we can see something that's really never been done before in Major League Baseball, to be able to throw different batters with different arms facing lefty on lefty, righty on righty, or going matchups. And he just has to be able to keep his legs underneath him, because legs and hips are extremely important when throwing the baseball. You just see the whip of the arm. Yes, there's a lot of tension on the elbow and the shoulder, but a lot of it is from your legs and your hips, and you want to be able to drive downhill. And so you got to stay healthy. You got to stay consistent with your workouts, your routines, and your rehab, and doing everything you possibly can to keep that healthy. So hopefully we see something absolutely fucking incredible in Major League Baseball here soon, as he continues to work through it, as he continues to grow and get better. And maybe the Mariners will fast track him up to the major leagues. We'll see, but that's incredible. I've also been saying that the Yankees are a better team in 2025 than they were in 2024, but now we know that Garrett Cole is injury, he's out for the year. Maybe that's no longer true unless the other starting pitchers really carry the load, especially as a number one guy in the playoffs. So we will see, but I do believe their offense is still better than it was last year and has the potential to be very good, very dangerous, and very consistent with the additions they made. That means Carlos Rendon will get the opening day nod for the Yankees, and we'll see what their other starters can do. They had about 6-7 starters. There was that controversy with Marcus Stroman about he wouldn't go to the bullpen. Well, now he's probably going to be needed as a starter. So let's see if he can step up to the plate, and the other guys can step up to the plate, and see what they can do in 2025 as a bounce back of their sort of abysmal breakdown in the 2024 World Series. Obviously, they made it to the World Series, so that's incredible, but they had a breakdown, a dysfunction of defense, let's say, in that World Series, and now the team is better, more well-rounded, potentially more consistent, but then you lose your number one starter and one of the best pitchers in the league, Garrett Cole. So who can step up, fill that void, try to be that number one, or guys switching in and out, or maybe you go to six starters instead of 5, just to kind of fill that void of Garrett Cole. But we'll see if they can get back to the World Series. I don't think they will. I think the Rangers are a better team than them and potentially will beat them if they make it to the AL Championship Series. But we'll see. The Dodgers are still the team to beat in Major League Baseball. And so we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to see how the Yankees bounce back from that. And the Boston Red Sox and Rafael Devers are just about at the time when the talking is over and the playing begins, because Devers has oscillated this offseason between various vibes, from wanting to stake his claim at third base over Alex Bregman, to reported trade requests, to walking back his comments and acting more like a team player. The best option is for Devers at DH and Bregman at third base. But it all comes down to the culture and what each player is willing to do to sacrifice for the betterment of the team. Devers made some stupid statements. I'm not moving. I'm not moving. You do whatever you possibly can to make your team the best it can be. That's what culture is. That's what culture is. Not just like a fancy fluff word that you throw around. It's super important. It's actions. It's actions from the front, and it's the repercussions of those actions. And it starts with the leader at the top. And Devers has been on the Red Sox. He's a leader in the clubhouse. And for him to say that, and for other people to stamp their approval of that, like he's not leaving, he's not moving, even though they signed a person who's better than him at third base. And even though Bregman is willing to go play second base to learn that position, to do the best that he can for the team, because he learned that with the Houston Astros, who've created that culture. That's why they win every single year, and even when they don't have the best team. So Devers, the best option for Devers is at DH, potentially playing third base. Bregman being at third base because he's better defensively. It's proven by the numbers. Also, he can play second base if need be, but it all comes down to the culture and what each player is willing to do and sacrifice for the betterment of the team. It's not just about you. Yes, there's a lot of individual aspects to playing baseball and to playing professional sports, but it's about the team aspect. It's about winning. It's about playing for something bigger than yourself. And that comes down to culture. That comes down to action. That comes down to owning your role and doing the best job you can with the role that you're giving and executing it to the absolute best of your ability. And if Devers can make that choice, and everyone on the Red Sox can potentially make that choice, they're going to have a good team. That's how good teams win consistently. That's how the Chiefs win consistently because every single person on that team knows their role and they execute it to the best of their ability. I think the Dodgers understand that now. I'm hoping the Rangers understand that with the additions they made and the guys coming back healthy and Jacob deGrom potentially being a Cy Young Award winner in 2025. All of these things matter. It's about culture. It's about owning your role. It's about doing the thing you're supposed to do and being where you need to be when you need to be there. It's not thinking about you should be doing all of these things. It's about knowing exactly what your role is and executing it to the best of your ability. If your job is to pinch run in the ninth inning because you can steal second base and potentially have a game-winning hit so we don't have to bunt you over, that's your fucking role. Own and execute that to the best of your ability. And then you get more and more and more opportunities and you seize those opportunities and it turns into you getting lucky. And then it's just because you're working hard and you're executing your role to the best of your ability. And imagine if every person on your roster has that mindset, then you're dialed in. You're responsible for your actions. You're accountable for you. And everyone takes that ownership over them. And boom, you mesh it together. You have this winning culture, this winning attitude that's not focused on results, that's not focused on championships. It's just focused on executing to the best of our ability every single day, which is in our control. And that's a beautiful thing if you want to create a winning culture. And so the 2025 MLB season begins on Tuesday, March 18th, and Wednesday, March 19th, with the Dodgers and Cubs playing in Tokyo, Japan, as part of the 2025 MLB World Tour Tokyo Series. That's awesome. Both games will be broadcast live from Tokyo Dome on Fox. I encourage you, if you are a fan of baseball or a fan of sports in general, to watch these games. The atmosphere in Tokyo is incredible. It's beautiful. Two great teams playing an unbelievably great game to kick off the 2025 MLB season in an unbelievable atmosphere with Shohei Ohtani probably going to hit a bomb and the fans going absolutely nuts for that. It's going to be awesome. And then you have the traditional Major League Baseball opening day will be on Thursday, March 27th, with 28 teams in action. After opening their respective seasons in Japan, the Dodgers will play as a series against the Tigers at home, and the Cubs will play the Diamondbacks in Arizona. The Rockies and Rays will open their season on Friday, March 28th at George M. Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, the temporary home of the Rays, with the damage done to Tropicana Field from Hurricane Milton. So, fuck yeah, it's baseball season, best sport in the world. Come here every single week on the Champions Adjust Sports Talk Show to hear what's going on mostly in Major League Baseball. But as you noticed today, I covered some other stuff, including, South Dakota State women's basketball, the 14-year-old women making absolute history in the National Soccer League. We talked about Luka and NFL and all of these great things, but mostly here on the Champions Adjust Sports Talk Show, we love baseball. We talk about baseball. So come here for all your baseball needs and send me the best stories and everything you have to offer when it comes to baseball, because, that's what I love and that's what I've grown to love. Baseball and professional wrestling. Those are my two true loves. And if you care about professional wrestling, I have a YouTube channel where I cover professional wrestling called Pro Wrestling Daily. So you can go check that out. And this is my channel, and you'll be here every week for the Champions Adjust Sports Show. But that's all I have for you on the Champions Adjust Sports Talk Show. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to head over to champsadjust.com for all things Champions Adjust. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time, and lots of love. Cheers.